Oi girls and boys and everything in between, it's Ace Trainer Liam, and I'm bringing you the beautiful, the wonderful Q&A! As most of you will remember if you watched last week's update video, I asked you guys to ask me some questions in the comments, not over on Twitter like some of you idiots did. I said YouTube, not Twitter, and I would answer them in this wonderful Q&A this week. So let's just go straight in and just... I mean, do you really need an introduction for a Q&A? I got asked questions on YouTube. I'm going to answer the questions on YouTube. Here we go. Let's rock and roll. First up, what is your daily routine for taking care of your dog? I can't imagine it's easy to juggle work and taking care of an active breed like a border collie all by yourself. Mate, it's dead easy. Mate, it's really easy because you're forgetting one really important thing, is that I work from home. So my routine's really easy. My dog eats breakfast the same time I eat breakfast, which is like just as soon as we get up, we get ready for the day, we go eat breakfast, then we go to the park for like an hour or so she gets to do loads of running, she gets to do loads of frisbee, she does jumps, she does flips, you name it, and then sometimes during the middle of the day we'll go for another walk, but we generally go for another walk in the very evening, normally after I've live streamed. So because I pick my own working hours, so I just tailor my dog and my dog's exercise around my working hours. So it's actually really, really easy. Next up, why did you stop dyeing your hair? I mean, there's a plethora of reasons to this. Like, one, I was just bored of having blue hair. Like, it was no longer... When I first did it, it was kind of fun and interesting, but after like 12 months plus of it, I was just like, this is kind of boring. I hated the upkeep because the upkeep meant that like every other week I'd have to re-dye the hair, and then every other month I'd have to go and get my hair cut, get it re-bleached, and then get it re-dyed, and it was just such a pain. The hair dye itself, because it rinses out like really quickly, would be staining my bathroom. My bathroom went from being a white bathroom to being almost completely blue, and thanks to the power of bleach and Sillet Bang, I have fixed that, and my bathroom is white again. But also because like I'm nearly 30 years old, and as fun as it is having blue hair, I was just kind of like, I just wanted to be my natural hair color a little bit more. I wanted to... it sounds weird, like it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm so mature just because I've got my hair my natural color, but I just feel a little bit more grown up, a little bit more mature. I think I'm a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to people now that I have just my standard natural hair color. Plus it shows off my nice silvers that I got going on here, which, you know, I'm not shy about. I enjoy them. So I just didn't enjoy it. I just didn't enjoy having blue hair anymore. It'd become a chore. It'd become boring. I'm just glad I could get rid of it. I was so done with it at this point. I was so bored of it. I much prefer how I'm looking these days to how I looked, say, 6 months ago. I'm very, very happy with how I'm doing. Not to mention, I needed something good to help us raise £2,500 for Macmillan Cancer support, and shaving off my blue hair was a fantastic decision. And I'm so glad we could raise that money. Next up, do you think it'd be interesting for Game Freak to involve some cool Fakermon into new games, maybe through occasional contests or something? The way I'm kind of reading this question, the way I'm thinking of what you mean, is that do you think that occasionally Game Freak should say, hey guys, design a Pokemon and we might put it in the new game if it gets enough votes or if it's cool enough or something like that? And I think it'd be interesting if Game Freak did give more fans an opportunity to design new Pokemon for the new generation. But at the same time, I also think Game Freak probably wouldn't do that anyway, because they're the kind of company that are very much like, our ideas are the only ideas, they're the best ideas. And I just think, yeah, I don't think they do it, but it'd be interesting to give a little bit more fan interaction. I just don't know if they'd ever do it. Oh, here's an easy one. If you could redesign Greninja, what would you make it look like? I mean, I'd make it look like the rest of its evolutionary line. I'd give it Frubbles instead of the tongue scarf. I don't understand why Froakie has Frubbles, Frogadier has Frubbles, and then Greninja has no Frubbles and a weird tongue scarf. If it needed a scarf, why not make it out of it's just common sense. I don't know how the design team got that so incredibly stupidly wrong, but fair. If Pokemon survives long enough and we get new Pokemon in new generations, do I think that we'll get an evolution of every type? Oh, 100%. 100%. Because A, it's the Eevee thing. Like, Eevee has its gimmick of it evolves into multiple different types of Pokemon. Pokemon are aware of how well Eevee sells. That's why Eevee is one of the mascot Pokemon for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, because people know, Pokemon know that people love Eevee. And it's like, It's so marketable, and the fact that every time you bring out a new bit of Eevee merchandise, you can bring out 8 more pieces of merchandise alongside it because of obviously all of its evolutions, it just makes sense from a marketing standpoint that if you've got something where completionists will have to complete the set, you can make 18 different evolutions and people will always buy all 18 because that's what people love to do. So I think, yes, we will eventually, one day, it might not be till 2030, it might not even be till 2040, but eventually we will have 18 evolutions and maybe even oh no, wait, I was about to say maybe even a 19th one, which would be the normal type, but the normal is one of the 18 types. So yes, 18 evolutions. 18. If you could find out when, where, and how you were going to die, what would you do? I'd fucking avoid that place at that time, wouldn't I? I don't know. If I knew when, I guess knowing where and when and how I'm going to die, I don't know if that would make me more cautious or more relaxed, because I start worrying about timelines when we talk about this kind of thing. So if I find out when, how, and where I'm going to die, in terms of the timeline that I'm on, doesn't that mean that I was always supposed to find out, and then the things that I do to avoid that thing happening are what ultimately caused that thing to happen at that time in that place? Like, or is it a case of, was I not supposed to find out that that's the day I'm going to die, and does that alter my timeline and almost instantly technically change the date, the time, and the place that I'm going to die, because now I'm aware to avoid that place and that thing at that time on that day? Like, it's really complicated. In terms of, like, I guess if you want me to answer what would I do if I knew I was going to die very soon, I mean, I'd just probably try and acquire as much money as possible so that I can go and do cool stuff before I do die. Maybe I'd up my streaming schedule. I don't know. I really don't know what I would do. If I knew I was going to die, I think I just want to do as much as possible. Like, I'd want to see as much of the world as possible before it happens. It depends how long I've got as well, because you haven't really set a time frame on this. So if I find out when, how, and where I'm going to die, and I find out it's this Thursday, then I don't have very long to do anything. But if it's like, oh, I'm not going to die until the year 4040, oh wait, that's 2,000 years away. I could well be the Messiah. I meant like 2040. If I find out that I'm going to die in like 2040, then I've got a little bit more time to relax and go, you know what? Well, I'm not dying anytime soon, so let's just take things easy. Whatever I go through, I clearly can overcome if I'm not dying till 2040, right? So it's a really complicated question, but I really appreciate it nonetheless. What was it that motivated you to take better care of yourself and your body? Oh, you mean this whole thing? You mean this? Basically, a lot of you will remember that back in early March, I made the decision to end my relationship with my then girlfriend. I am now in a position, obviously, where I've looked after my body, I've worked on my channel, I'm in a much better place mentally than I was earlier this year. Because earlier this year, before I broke up with my ex, I was very, very, very depressed. I was in a terrible place. I had so much work building up on top of me. I had so much pressure on me. I'd put myself in a horrible position where I wasn't even giving any kind of indication to my friends or to the people around me that I was going through any kind of problems, which is why everything came as a shock to everybody. And I was just in a horrible place mentally. And after the breakup, I kind of realized that I needed to do a lot of work on myself. I was like, I need to get myself, no one's going to get me out of this rut but me. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, if I'm the only one that can get me out of this, I need to have a look at how I can get out of this. And I started listening to a lot of people talk about exercise and things like that. And I'd always been the person who, whenever someone says, oh, if you're feeling depressed, what you should do is you should go outside and get some fresh air and do some exercise, because it might tire you out and you might sweat a bit, but you'll feel better for it. I used to roll my eyes at that. I used to be like, oh, of course, yeah, yeah, that's what's going to help me. Doing something I don't enjoy, like exercising, is going to make me less depressed. Of course it's not. Well, actually, yes, it bloody was. So I got myself down to the gym, because I had a gym membership that I was paying for but just never using. And I decided I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do some cardio, I'm going to lift some weights, and I'll see if I feel better. And I'm going to give it a good couple of weeks for my system to really get used to it. And I persevered and I pushed through, and I feel so much better. I'm watching the weight pile off, I'm watching my belly get flatter, and it's just so... It's a real cool sense of accomplishment, as you can see, like, the scales tipping and your body changing and things like that. And after I do have an exercise session, I do feel more pumped and more energetic and more motivated to do some work. Like, if I have a day where I'm just sitting there on the sofa like, I don't really want to do anything. I don't feel motivated. If I go out and have a walk, just a walk anywhere, I'll walk up towards wherever, you know, further than I've ever been before, and then walk back, or I'll just have a 15-minute walk around a few blocks or something. I come home and I'm like, wow, I've been outside, my heart rate's going a little bit, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling motivated, and then boom, I can get upstairs, I can go in my room, and I can start making videos, I can start doing work again. And I definitely think what motivated me to do that is just that realization that the only person that can help you get out of a toxic mindset like the one I was in back in the earlier parts of this year is yourself. You're the only person. Like, you can reach out to other people, and I thoroughly recommend, if you're going through any kind of depression, and if you're going through any kind of, even if it's like suicidal thoughts and things like that, talk to someone, because you can't solve your problems if you don't talk to people. And if you just sit and dwell on your problems, then you are going to end up in a situation where you do want to end it because you feel so alone, because you will have made yourself feel alone. You have to talk to people, friends, family, co-workers, colleagues, even a stranger on the street. Just talk to them. Just talk to someone. Because I wish back in March I'd talked to someone, because like, maybe if I'd reached out to people, they could have helped me get to this epiphany before I got myself there. But if you do find yourself stuck in that little rut where you're like, right, I don't really feel like I can talk to anybody, I don't really think anyone's going to be able to solve my problems, that's the wake-up call for you to solve that problem. And that's what I did, and that's why I'm so much happier now than I was earlier this year. So definitely go for it. I've been trying to figure out what my goals are for ages. You said in the video you figured it out. My question is very simple. How were you able to figure it out? Okay, how to figure out what my goals are was really, really simple, because for me, for example, I take a look at my life and I go, okay, what am I doing with my life right now? I am currently a full-time content creator, and I live on my own in a house that I rent with my dog. So what are my goals? My goals are to make sure that I can continue paying my rent, that I can continue feeding my dog and myself, and that my content continues to be at the level that it's supposed to be, and just keep, you know, banging out the content and making sure that it's being enjoyed by people, and that if people aren't enjoying it, change it so that people are enjoying it. Like, that's ultimately my goals, is just keep going and going and going. Introduce these new series. If the new series do well, you continue them. If the new series isn't doing well, then I don't continue them. And the way I figured out what my goals were is I just looked at what I'm planning with my life in general, like where I'm hoping to go. Like, I'm hoping in 5 years' time, I'm still a content creator, that I'm still able to afford to live. I'd like to be able to afford to live in a house that I mortgage rather than a house that I rent, because then it's not kind of dead money, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It's not that big of a deal right now. I'm still living, you know, comfortably. And it's like, I just looked at where I was and the kind of things that I know I want what I have to turn into, if that makes sense. So like, I want my living situation to stay the same, more or less. I want my career to stay the same, more or less. So all I had to do to work out my goals is go, well, what do I personally need to do in order to achieve the things that I want? And that's how I built my goal. It's really simple. So just have a look at what you want to achieve in the next few years. Those are your goals. Those things you want to achieve are your goals, and therefore, if you know where you want to be, then you can set yourself smaller goals and smaller targets that put you on the path to where you want to go. It's as simple as that. Have you had any ghost encounters in your life, or any weird or creepy stuff happen to you? I've never really had what I would call a ghost encounter. Like, I've never seen an entity or a spirit or an apparition or anything like that. I've had creepy things happen, like we'd be watching a horror film or something downstairs, just like a really quiet ambient horror film where you're waiting for something suspenseful or a jump scare to happen, and then my dog will be looking at the corner of the room and just will bark into the corner of the room where there is nothing. Like, I'm not talking like the corner of the room where the TV is, I'm talking the big empty corner of the room where the two walls meet the ceiling, where there is nothing there. There's no ornaments, there's no pictures or anything. It's just a blank area of the corner of the room, and the dog is like ears up, angry barking at that part of the room. Because obviously normally when a dog barks at something, it will bark in the direction of what they're barking at. So if someone's outside, the dog will bark at the window or bark at the door. But the fact that the dog is barking at the corner of the room and there's nothing there, it kind of does make you think, is she seeing something that I'm not? Is there a potential ghost in the corner of my room? Because I don't really believe in ghosts, but it's situations like that where I kind of go, that's not really normal for my dog to be doing. Why is she doing that particular thing? So that's kind of the creepiest that I get. Other than that, occasionally when I'm downstairs, I'll hear something upstairs that sounds like footsteps, but I just attribute that to, I don't know. I'm sure there's a really scientific explanation for why floorboards sometimes just randomly creak on their own, I guess. It's just one of those weird things, but I mean, let me know in the comments if you've had any ghostly experiences, because those kinds of stories are always super creepy. Any plans to do a ROM hack or a fan game let's play? Not on the channel, just because sometimes the Pokemon Company are a little bit funny about you using games that use their IP without them being involved in it, like with fan games and stuff like that, and some ROM hacks Pokemon really don't seem to like. But at the same time, over on my Twitch channel, where I stream several times a week, if you're not already following me, go follow me. That'd be the perfect place for me to play some ROM hacks in the future and some fan games. So if you want ROM hacks and fan games from me, go over to Twitch. Go hang out there. It's literally free to be a member of Twitch. Like, just go do it. It's like signing up to YouTube. You do it once and you forget about it. Twitch is the future of streaming. I mean, it's the present of streaming as well. Like, streaming on YouTube's just lame. What's your top 5 favorite Pokemon types? I'm gonna go water is definitely number 1. Then it's probably, in some order, electric, dragon, poison, and dark. Let's go with dark. Yeah. Water, electric, dragon, poison, dark. Let's go with that. That sounds great. Yeah, they're my 5 favorite types. Is there something about Pokemon that you think is super underrated or underappreciated? Oh, okay. I mean, the franchise as a whole, I think, is super underrated. I mean, I know obviously it has millions of fans across the world, and especially, like, you know, billions when you consider Pokemon Go, but I still feel like there are a lot of people that don't give Pokemon a chance just because they remember it as, oh, that's that game from 20 years ago that I played when I was a kid when we swapped Pokemon cards in the playground. But I grew out of that years ago. Let's play some Call of Duty. Let's play some GTA. I feel like a lot of people don't give Pokemon the chance. They don't decide to come back to Pokemon. They're just like, oh, no, I don't want to deal with that. That's a lame game. And they don't realize just how much fun Pokemon games are. In terms of actually something within Pokemon that I feel is underrated or underappreciated, I'm always going to say Generation 5, because Generation 5 is a really brilliantly story-driven generation of Pokemon. Like, the story from start to finish, from the start of Black and White to the end of Black 2 and White 2, is a great selection of stories, and unfortunately a lot of people disregard it because they don't like Trubbish or they don't like Cofagrigus because they're idiots. I don't know. I just think Gen 5 deserves a better chance. I feel like those people who don't like Gen 5, why don't you try going and playing it again? Now that you're older, now that you're able to be a little bit more objective and a little bit more impartial, go play the games again and see if you enjoy them. You know, if you don't enjoy them, like, you're entitled to your opinion. I just wish a lot more people would give those games more of a chance. And lastly, do you play any other games besides Pokemon? Well, this is a brilliant opportunity to say, yes, I do. And if you come and follow me over on twitch.tv/AceTrainerLiam during several live streams that happen during the course of the week, you can see me playing Pokemon, but you can also see me playing other games as well. So you can come and check me out while I play things like Metal Gear Solid. We're currently playing through the Metal Gear Solid series in chronological order, and it's so much fun. We're almost at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3. You'll be able to see me play a little bit of Splatoon next week, because I'm going to be practicing with my team before our tournament at Summer in the City, and just all of the games in general. We'll have loads and loads of fun. So head over to twitch.tv/AceTrainerLiam and come and hang out with me. So I do hope you've enjoyed this Q&A. I hope it hasn't dragged on for too long. I feel like I've been recording for quite a while, so maybe I'll cut it down. I don't know. This isn't really for you guys. This is more for me later on. But yeah, regardless, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure you hit the like button so that I know you're enjoying this kind of stuff. I don't know what I'm doing next Saturday, because obviously the Saturday video can be anything, but we'll see. I'll figure it out. Don't you worry. I'll be at Summer in the City next Saturday, but you will have a Saturday video nonetheless. Don't you worry. I've got it covered. And also, thank you for your amazing feedback on the free-for-all that we did yesterday on the channel. Go and check that out as well if you haven't already watched it. It was loads of fun. It was me, Game Boy Luke, Faint Attacks, and my good friend Yoan, all playing some Pokemon in a lovely, lovely free-for-all. Go check it out. But just once again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to support the channel like these lovely people down here do, you can do so via Patreon. It's patreon.com/AceTrainerLiam. And until next time, I'm Ace Trainer Liam. Keep on training.